Hi, it's Betsy from Cuttin Corners Vinyl in Nederland, Texas. So before we get started on today's project, I wanted to go ahead and remind you that if you go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube, you will automatically be entered in to win this scrap box that we are doing a drawing for on March the 4th. And also remember that if you go to our Facebook page and like and share it, you can be entered in for another chance to win. Now, today's project, we are going to go over how to tie-dye a ceramic mug using your Oracal 651 as your stencil. So I went ahead and pre-cut and pre-weeded our design. First things first, before I stick that on there, I'm going to take, this is denatured alcohol, I'm going to take and wipe down the outside of my mug so that way it's clean, and I'm going to try to keep my fingers off of it because you want to have a nice clean without your hand oil surface to put this on. So got my mask here. We're going to go ahead and cover it. Squeegee it down. Now, one of the things I like to do whenever I'm doing something like this is whenever I take and lay it out on my cup. I didn't leave enough of an edge. It's okay though. So we've got our letter. So we'll go ahead and place it. And I like this kind of font because if you're off a little bit, no one will know with your placement. And I try to keep it a little bit farther away from the lit design so that way you can take, and that's an old piece of tape that I've reused. So, and see where I've got this little bit of air, I'm going to take and grab this tip of my letter and lift, and then take and place it back down. So now I've got my letter placed on here. I'm going to go ahead and re-wipe over it with alcohol. It's not going to hurt the vinyl. So I got that on there. So I've got several different colors of Sharpie markers, and all that I'm going to do is take and dot all over the place. That's how we're going to get our tie-dye effect. Now, if you want to, you can take and tie-dye the whole thing. You can tie-dye half of it. You can keep it close to the letter. I kind of like it where it's all over the place. And as I said, this is just a regular Sharpie marker. And one of the things we need to do once we're done with this is you're going to take and bake it in the oven at 350 degrees for 30 minutes. So that way the marker adheres with the ceramic glaze. Now, that's not something we're going to do on camera, but when you do that at home, you're going to take and put your coffee mug or whatever you're putting it on in the center of a cookie sheet in the oven while the oven is cold. You'll turn on your oven, and once your oven gets hot to 350, then you'll set your timer for 30 minutes. And then you'll go ahead and take and let the oven cool before you remove it from the oven. So as you can see, it's just tons of little dots all over the place. I like to have a good blend of color so that way when we make the tie-dye effect, it really shows. And you could do this process to make a makeup brush holder. You could use this for a lot of different things, and it really is an easy and fun project. You could get your kids to draw on a mug or have them write their name and give it as a present. So let's see, let's throw some pink in there with it. So as you can see, it's just dot after dot after dot after dot. And every one looks different whenever you do this process. So let's see. Let's throw a little bit more color in there. Let's do some paler pink. And don't worry about how uniform your dots are, because we're going to change the look of it here in just a second anyway with it. So, got dots all over the place. So, I have these foam tips cotton swabs. You can use any type of cotton swab or cotton ball. So, I just sprayed it with some more denatured alcohol. And then one thing we just take and do is lightly pat over it. And as you can see, it's blending those colors, so that way we're getting a completely different look than what we started with. So, and it gives it that watercolor tie-dye effect. And you can blend it as much as you want. You don't have to blend it if you don't want to. You can take and bake it just with the dots on there. But this is a fun project that's something a little bit different. And as I said, this is just the Oracal 651 in the matte white. I tend to like to use the matte colors when I'm doing any type of project like this or when I'm painting. But I always prefer to use 651 over 631. It sticks better and you'll get cleaner lines. So let's keep patting. And the good thing about this process is once you get where we are, there's enough ink on the cotton swab that you can take and continue all the way around if you wanted to. Or you can take and add more dots and work your way as you go, because it doesn't take very long for it to dry. And that's all we're waiting for, is it to dry, so that way we can take and pull the letter off. Now, whenever this is a done project, you do not put this through the dishwasher. You can hand wash it and it will last for a very, very long time. So, there we go. Now, let's move that out of the way. I'm drying it for effect because I want to be able to pull my letter off. And as you can see, it dries very quickly. There isn't any ink left on the paper towel from me doing that. So, there's one part. And there's the rest of our letter. And as you can see, it comes off very cleanly. We got nice clean lines. So now all I got to do is throw this in the oven, 30 minutes, 350 degrees, and it's ready to use. So something simple and easy as that, not an expensive project. You can find cheap ceramic mugs at the dollar store for $1. Sharpies, you can use off-brand too if you want. Alcohol, another $1 project, and it doesn't use a whole lot of vinyl. So there you go. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. Go ahead and give us a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.